Hello everyone, welcome to my studio. I hope that everyone has had an awesome Christmas. Here in northeastern PA, it's frigid cold today, high of 23 degrees out there with some snow. Good day for the studio. So with this video, I want to just update a little bit on what's going on in my sculpting station. I started to sculpt some of the figures that I'll be using in the Deep Wars project. And this is one of the divers that I have so far. And I still have some work to do on this figure. It's the clay is still soft, so I need to do a little bit more smoothing in certain areas. Also, the figure's not finished. This is still far from complete. I need some more details. Here is one of the diver figures from Deep Wars. So you can see the size is not too bad. This diver that I made is a little bit bigger, but not overly so. And so that's good. And then in the back here, I need to add the aqualung back there, which is what this guy has back here, kind of like an aqualung with these thrusters. I'm going to be adding that, probably my own style here, to the back. So I don't want to concentrate on a lot of details back here because this is all going to be covered, right? So I did start some of the cabling for the figure. And this is working with very, very small amounts of green stuff. And still shaping some of the cables and some of the armor plates. You can kind of see the details there. Now he needs more cabling before I consider him finished. And those holes that you see here, that's where I will have the rivets. I'll have a couple of rivets here. You can see a rivet that I formed right here, right there, that little peg there. And I'm still kind of shaping that a little bit. So that's working with very tiny amounts of clay. And really, it's been a challenge, to be honest, because the figure is so small. I hope to finish this figure soon. And then just paint it like I would any other figure. And the idea with the Deep Wars project is to get me sculpting. There are a number of creature figures that I want to make for the game, and then we're going to be using them, for whatever games of Deep Wars we decide to play. So the tools that I'm using are my soft tip tools of various sizes. Here you see here my soft clay tools. These are very good. Even this large one here for getting into certain areas and very carefully smoothing the clay. I need these armor plates to be nice and smooth. And then for the rear, got all of that stuff down there. I'm using my X-Acto blade, and that's been very useful for tight areas, tight cuts. And then also my paddle tool, which is one of my primary sculpting tools, and it has this sharper tip in the end, which I use quite extensively to get at certain areas. And that's about it. Now, in terms of clay, I use greenstuff. I also use a little bit of Procreate clay, which is a gray resin clay, and I have a little bit right here. Okay, and this is the resin part. That's some Procreate, and sometimes I will use a little bit of Sculpey in there when I really need to blend the green stuff, and blend some of the details together. So right now I'm working on smoothing things and making sure all the details I want are there before I stop. And usually the way I use these tools, these soft tip tools, is like a rolling pin. I kind of do that. And then yes, I do work with a lot of water. even though I use clay mix, I do work with a lot of water. Anytime I'm working with resin clay, that's probably a wise thing. So the clay is not as sticky because it's not a mix. But so this process, it's working with very small, very small amounts of clay at a time, then letting things dry. And once things are dry, once you're satisfied with them, then go back and continue. So this is being very gentle in certain areas, right? And just working with a lot of patience. This is the kind of fine detail work that takes a lot of patience. And this is the first time I've ever made a figure this small. And the trick to attaching green stuff to the armature is always to use a little bit of filing paper or a file and file your wire carefully, give it some roughness, and that forms an anchor point for your clay. Even green stuff that's really sticky, when you don't do that, your green stuff tends to go around the wire, but there's like air gaps and things like that, and then it's kind of loose and everything else, and that really that doesn't work very well. And then I also work with very small amounts of green stuff to add to the figure. Very small bits that will help prevent a lot of those air pockets. So it's a lot of patience. You're working with very fine pieces of clay and just very carefully doing your details. And that's the way I sculpt small things like this. Okay, so it's my first ever small diver figure like this. So with the experience I gain with this little sculpt, I'm sure it will give me a good practice for future sculpts. All right, there we go. So it's going to take a lot of time and practice. Here he is again. All right, so this guy is a little bit bigger, but not terribly so. And I mean, I could use this guy as a leader figure, I see that not all figures in Deep Wars are the same kind of scale and size. Some of the divers are a little bit smaller than the others. So I do want to go a little bit smaller, but for now, this is not too bad. This could be a leader figure, so he has a nice big suit, kind of like a power suit for underwater. And still need some shaping and some things to do on this figure. So, all right.